Last Thanksgiving, I flew out to the old cedar cabin near Asheville. Everyone was putting on their usual holiday act. Dad slicing the turkey like a TV chef, Patrice refilling glasses, and my brother Aiden recording everything for his socials. When dinner was finally on the plates and everyone was too busy chewing to talk, I asked calmly, "Did the hospital ever send the date for my surgery?" All three of them looked at each other and laughed. "Oh, that letter came," Dad said casually. "But we used the money for Aiden's 27th birthday. You only turned 27 once, right?" They kept eating like nothing was wrong. I put my fork down. "Then I guess you still don't know who that surgery was actually for." The entire table froze. Dad went pale. Patrice stopped mid-pour, and Aiden stared at his plate like it might save him. With that one sentence. Thanksgiving died right there. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the couch, watching sunrise crawl across the blinds while the number burned in my mind. $178,000. Gone. 10 years of covering their disasters while I lived on cheap noodles and endless overtime. Aiden's college bills, the BMW, those ridiculous networking suites, and the extra credit cards they pass around like souvenirs. 11 months earlier, Aiden stayed at my place with swollen knees, claiming old football pain. When he finally knocked out on the couch, I used a test kit I had and sent the samples to a lab. My ex, Dr. Rowenbeck, rheumatologist, the one person I still trusted, called with the results: aggressive rheumatoid arthritis. He needed biologics within 8 months or risk permanent joint damage. So I created a trust in Aiden's name, strictly for medical treatment. I funded it fully, even left one emergency clause. Patrice learned just enough legal language to drain it for a party weekend. They blew it all, literally, on fireworks, booze, and a rented lodge. Then one night around 2 a.m., they showed up at my door stinking of bourbon, waving bank statements and shouting. Patrice slammed papers on my kitchen table. Dad ranted about declined payments. Aiden stood behind them looking smaller than he'd ever looked. "No," I said, "not another dollar. Leave." A week later, an envelope arrived with no stamp. My name printed like a judgment. A petition for guardianship over me, filed by my own father and stepmother, for paragraphs claiming I was unstable, hostile, and incapable of managing my finances. A bright blue sticker pointed to a spot where they wanted my signature, agreeing to let them control my entire life. I called the only lawyer who had ever scared entire conference rooms with a single glare, Sloan Donnelly. She didn't hesitate. "Don't sign anything," she said. "They're abusing guardianship laws. Start collecting proof. Everything you can." So I gathered bank statements, the forged email, the lodge receipt, even Aiden's Instagram video confetti raining down, while he smiled like nothing in the world was wrong. Then HR mailed me a notice. My health insurance was suspended because of $47,000 in psychiatric claims. I'd never set foot in a psychiatric facility. The insurance log traced everything back to my parents' house. At 1:32 in the morning, pounding shook my door. Blue lights flashed across the snow. A detective, Alina Cruz, stood on my porch. "Welfare check," she said. "A family member reported a suicide attempt." They searched my entire apartment, from the shower to my dresser, finding nothing but leftover takeout and dust. Before leaving, Cruz pressed her card into my hand. "If they call again, contact me first." Sloan moved fast. Subpoenas went out for the notary, who stamped their false papers. Requests were filed for security footage showing I was at work the day they claimed I had a breakdown. A motion for Dr. Rowan to testify about Aiden's diagnosis and the medical trust. Then the court date arrived, 4 weeks later. Rain hammered the courthouse roof. I sat beside Sloan. Across the aisle, my father and Patrice whispered while Aiden slouched like he wanted to disappear. The clerk, Naomi Everett, took the bench. Their lawyer started with a speech about a daughter in crisis. Sloan rose. "What we actually have here is a calculated attempt to seize control through fraudulent means." She called Rowan. He explained Aiden's diagnosis, the 8-month treatment window, the Trust 1 funded, and every piece of forged documentation. Screens lit up with proof of wires to the lodge, fireworks invoices, and the band contract. Patrice turned gray. Dad's hands clenched the table. Aiden stared at the floor, wishing the evidence would rewrite itself. Then Sloan presented the sworn statements we'd collected. Witnesses a bribe for $500 apiece. The notary log. HR timestamps. Insurer IP log showing everything originated from my parents' address. Clerk Everett read to a stack while thunder rolled. Finally, she spoke. There is no credible basis for declaring the respondent incompetent. Petition denied with prejudice. Legal fees payable by the petitioners. This matter will be referred to the district attorney for review of potential criminal charges, including exploitation, forgery, and perjury. The gavel cracked like lightning. Aiden's earbuds dropped to the floor. The fallout came fast. Sanctions, debts, and eventually foreclosure signs on the yard I used to mow. Aiden's disease progressed. By fall, he used a walker. I sold the Cedar House and moved to Charlotte. New phone number, new locks, new peace. On my last drive east, the Blue Ridge Mountains stretched behind me in mirror. I didn't feel victorious, just empty and finally done. I rolled the window down and let the cold mountain air wash over me, knowing now that love isn't limitless, and family ties can be cut when they become a noose.